I should have known from the start. When someone needs to be worshipped to feel loved, they don't marry a partner. They marry a mirror. And that's exactly what my wife was, a mirror that only reflected her. It started with small things. The way she'd tell stories that made her the victim, even when she wasn't. The way she'd talk about her ex like he was some unfinished chapter, testing how far she could push me before I'd flinch. She'd watch my reactions like a scientist studying an experiment. And every time I stayed calm, she'd push harder just to see if I'd finally break. I told myself it was just nerves before the wedding, but deep down, something didn't feel right. I wasn't marrying a woman. I was marrying a performance. Then came the night that changed everything. We were finalizing the guest list for the wedding. She looked up from her phone and said, almost casually, "Hey, you don't mind if I invite Ethan, do you?" I froze. Her ex? The same guy who'd cheated on her, humiliated her, shattered her self-esteem. At least that's how she told it. And now she wanted him at our wedding? I laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. Her eyes narrowed. She said, "What? Are you that insecure?" And just like that, she flipped the script. It wasn't about her crossing a boundary. It was about me overreacting. That's the narcissist's favorite game. They stab you, then accuse you of bleeding. I told her no. I said it firmly, calmly, and with finality. And that's when she snapped. She stood up, eyes blazing, voice shaking. Not from sadness, but rage. "You're pathetic," she said. "A pathetic simp. You're threatened by a man who doesn't even want me anymore." The words hit harder than a slap. Not because they were true, but because she wanted them to be. She wanted to shame me into compliance. That's how narcissists control you, through humiliation. But that night, something in me changed. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just stared at her until she broke eye contact. And that silence scared her more than anything I could have said. Because narcissists feed on reaction. It's their oxygen. And I was done breathing for her. Over the next few days, she tried everything. Guilt, tears, love bombing. One night, she even said, "I just want everyone to see how far I've come." Having him there would prove I've moved on. I looked at her and said, "If you've really moved on, why do you need to prove it?" She didn't answer. Because narcissists don't seek closure, they seek attention. And I had finally stopped giving her mine. But what happened next proved how dangerous it is to take power away from someone who only feels alive when they are in control. A week later, I found out she'd gone ahead and messaged him anyway. Not once, not casually, multiple times. And when I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She smiled. That smug, twisted, calm smile narcissists use when they know they've pushed you to the edge. "Oh, relax," she said. "I just wanted to be the bigger person." "You wouldn't understand. You're too emotional." Too emotional. I stared at her, wondering how someone could light a fire, pour gasoline, then accuse me of being the smoke. I walked away that night. Not because I was weak, but because I knew she wanted the fight. She needed it. Conflict is how she felt alive. If I yelled, she'd cry. If I stayed quiet, she'd mock me for being cold. No matter what I did, she'd twist it until she was the victim again. That's when I started noticing the patterns. How she'd praise me only when others were watching. How every argument ended with me apologizing for something I didn't even do. How she could make cruelty sound like logic. I started reading about narcissism at night when she was asleep. Every line I read was her. The grandiosity, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the obsession with admiration followed by cold disgust when they get it. But what scared me most wasn't her behavior. It was how much of myself I'd lost trying to survive it. I stopped laughing the same way, stopped hanging out with friends, even started second-guessing my memory, wondering if maybe she was right, maybe I was too sensitive. That's what narcissists do. They don't just hurt you, they rewrite you. Then came the day I almost walked away from my own wedding. It was 3 days before the ceremony. I got a text from one of her bridesmaids, a screenshot. It was a group chat between her and her friends, and in it, my fiancée, the woman who claimed to love me, had written, "He's losing it over Ethan." It's hilarious. I swear he acts like I'm marrying both of them. And then another message, one that froze my blood. I might invite Ethan last minute just to see if he'll actually show up. It'd make great drama. That's when I realized she didn't see our wedding as a commitment. She saw it as a stage, and I was just another prop. I sat there staring at my phone, numb, while everything inside me screamed. But instead of confronting her, I did something she'd never expect. I smiled. Because narcissists crave control, and the moment you stop reacting, you take it from them. I played along, acted normal, told her I was fine, that I was over it. And while she relaxed back into her illusion of power, I started preparing my exit. The night before the wedding, I stayed at a hotel alone. She thought I was out with friends. In reality, I was sitting in the dark, watching the storm roll across the city, rehearsing what I was going to do. And when morning came, she disappeared for a while after that night. No calls, no texts, no emails. And for a second, I almost believed that was the end of it. Until the messages started coming from other people. Mutual friends, co-workers, even her mother. Each one a variation of the same line. She said you ruined her life. She said you left her at the altar. She said you're unstable, that you need help. And just like that, she began rewriting the story. Not to me, to everyone else. Because that's what narcissists do when they lose control. They rebuild their image with a new villain. And if they can't make you love them, they'll make others hate you. At first it bothered me. It ate at me, knowing people were believing her version. But then I realized something. A lie needs constant maintenance, and truth stands quietly, waiting for the noise to die down. And noise always dies down. She started posting healing quotes on social media, pictures of her with friends, captions about choosing peace and rising above toxicity. I saw one post where she wrote, "I used to attract weak men who couldn't handle strong women." Underneath it, her followers flooded her comments with validation. It was all theater, and I wasn't an actor anymore. But then she crossed the line as she reached out to one of my clients, a business I had helped build from scratch, told them I was unstable, that I wasn't handling the breakup well. She tried to make me look unprofessional, to take away not just my peace, but my purpose. I didn't react publicly. I didn't rant or defend myself online. I sent one email, a quiet surgical message with evidence of her interference. The company cut her off immediately, and just like that, her little smear campaign started crumbling. The more she tried to control the narrative, the more people began to see the pattern. She'd been through this before. Different man, same outcome. It always ended with her being betrayed, abandoned, misunderstood. Her stories changed, but the ending never did. Meanwhile, I kept growing. I was finally free enough to feel things again. Real things. Not the performance of emotions she demanded, but the raw, messy kind that makes you human. I made new friends who didn't know her, who didn't know that version of me she had built. And it felt like breathing fresh air after years of inhaling smoke. Then, months later, I ran into her by accident. A grocery store. The kind of encounter you do. A few months later, I met someone new. Not in some dramatic movie-style way. Just an ordinary day. Coffee shop. Same table I used to sit at alone. She asked if the seat was taken, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't hesitate to say no. Her name was Maya. She was calm in a way that didn't demand attention. She didn't ask for validation every 5 minutes. She listened, really listened. And when she spoke, it wasn't to compete, it was to connect. It was strange at first, almost uncomfortable being around someone who didn't make me feel like I had to earn the right to exist. But trauma has a funny way of echoing even after the noise stops. The first few weeks, every time my phone buzzed, I half expected it to be my ex, some new manipulation, some fresh attempt to pull me back into her gravity. It happened months later when the weather had started to change and I had almost stopped thinking about her entirely. A simple email appeared in my inbox with a subject line that only she would choose. For closure. 2 words designed to sound innocent, but I could already feel the old current beneath them. Control dressed as sincerity. The message was long. Pages of, I've been reflecting, I'm in therapy now, and I just want to take accountability. And then, the part that caught me, you didn't deserve what I did. I see now that you were the only one who truly loved me. For a second, the version of me from a year ago stirred, the one who would have replied, hoping maybe she'd finally changed. But I'd learned too much about patterns, about how narcissists use closure as a reopening. They don't apologize to heal you. They apologize to reattach themselves to your peace. So I didn't answer, and that silence said everything. A few days later, she tried again, a text this time. Can we meet for coffee? I just want to talk, but I already knew how that conversation would go. It would start with tears, shift to nostalgia, then slide into blame. I'd walk out drained. She'd walk out satisfied. So instead, I deleted the message and blocked the number. No anger, no bitterness, just quiet finality. That's when it hit me. Closure isn't something you get from them. It's the decision to stop needing it. Because people like her don't give closure. They trade it for access. And the moment you stop giving them that access, they lose power forever. I remember stepping outside that evening, the sky painted orange and violet, the air sharp but gentle. For the first time in years, I wasn't replaying conversations or defending myself in my head.